Hi everybody out there in Truth Concepts land. This video is meant to serve just as an introduction and some ideas that work around the brand new calculator, the monstrous calculator that Todd put together, the asset flow calculator. So in this first little section, I just figured I'd kind of talk a little bit about what I see as the purpose and then the general layout of the asset flow. So when we pull up actually Truth Concepts, you'll find the asset flow calculator right down here. Todd added it down the bottom of the calculator section. And the thing is sizable. You can see a lot of, this is like, there's probably like 1,000 Excel sheets attached inside here. You can see all these various accounts that it'll help us to quantify. And then there's multiple accounts that we can drop in. And I'll kind of walk through that with you in a few moments. Then ultimately with whatever we input to this, we can effectively summarize it to show how these various assets work together. A little bit more of a 30,000 foot view in some capacities. Like I tend to focus a lot on how we're building life insurance and how we can use it, and then also how qualified plans work by themselves, and then how can real estate play a role in a person building wealth. And there's a place for annuities. There's a place for non-qualified stocks and mutual funds, and there's a place for loans and debts owed. And up to this point, we've had a lot of those on different calculators. And if you're like me, you probably pulled them together on an Excel sheet or pulled PDFs together, and it kind of helps your client see stuff. This calculator actually we're going to find that it can help us do that from a summary perspective and almost do that for us. So the general layout, we're going to have kind of client demographic over here. So let's just say they're 55. We do want to run the calculator out. It's going to mention a mortality age because at some point we can show if we put that mortality age within the range of time that we're going to look at, we can show what happens to the estate when accounts get liquidated, or what's the total estate at that time. I'll make this simple and I'll just run this out for 20 years. We can add a spouse to the mix, 54. And we can say they go to, actually, I don't know why I'm knocking this person off at 80. We can take them out to 89, just for our purposes today. Take it out to 85. There we go. Wow, I'll take it down to 79. Let's see what happens. There we go. So client demographics. We have an opportunity to include taxes in the mix here. So there's a button here where we can kind of go through some of the selects there. I'll probably get to that later in this video. We can inflate out expenses. We can add earned income that will play a role in the tax piece. We can do savings increases over time from a percentage perspective, and withdrawal increases over time from a percentage perspective. I'm going to skip over here. We can change the title of the calculator by clicking title. It's actually on a different screen over here on me, but we can change the title here if we want. And then we got the print select. This button here will either show or hide each of the asset inputs on each of these various screens. And then Todd has so kindly put in some graphs that we can use once we start to populate this. Over here to the right, this is, again, a little bit more navigation. We have various accounts that we can work with. Ordinary taxable accounts that we can come down here and name, and you can see some of the selects there. We have tax-free type accounts. This is essentially where a Roth IRA could possibly go. We have real estate calculators. You can see each time we click this button, it actually pulls up a lot of the inputs that we're familiar with from the other calculators, but then it actually has the kind of like a layout of the way the account's going to work, or the way the asset's going to work down below. We have annuities. You can see some of the unique inputs for the annuity, right? Stocks, bonds, mutual funds. You can see some of the inputs there. Short-term capital gain calculation if necessary, cash flow from it, load on the mutual funds, management fees, right? So some of those columns we don't have in all the assets. So what's nice is that Todd's put together this so that each of these various asset inputs are unique to that individual asset. So tax advantage, so this is 401k or a Roth, also including load, got employer match columns, things like that. If we end up pulling out early, there's a penalty calculation, management fees, things like that. We can life insurance inputs, which we're most likely familiar with. And you can load the data right here. Loan inputs that are just, it's basically the loan calculator, but we can lay it out from an asset perspective because then we're starting to help a client look and see what's the cash flow that's going towards the loan, what happens when the loan gets paid off and that changes, where can we direct that cash flow at that time, that sort of thing. We have an expense tab, which is really interesting. This could possibly be very, very helpful for helping a client budget. And as we start to input $1,000 a month there, kind of totals down the bottom, and then you can see a total column here. What else? Childcare, $1,250. Dry cleaning, $100. You can see how it adds up like that. Notice too, I just started playing with this, that when we start to put data inside this account, the select button up here for the number one Excel sheet for expenses actually turns yellow. So there's going to be a second expense sheet. So this could be, I could use this from a perspective of, hey, maybe we show how things are today, and then maybe we show how things can be adjusted with some tweaks. But until I know where there's data, there's 4 of these actually for the expenses. I know where there's data because there's a yellow marker there, okay? There's another one here for the earned income and Social Security piece. Yep, so we have earned income, spousal income. We can put in FICA taxes. We can put in Medicare taxes. We can put in Social Security benefit information over here. There's a lot of stuff here. We have the prosperity flow-through account, where essentially we can, and Kim has a lot of information on this, where we can kind of talk about the flow in and out of that, the net cash flow in and out, right? And then ultimately we have a summary button. So this is just an intro on kind of the layout of the asset flow calculator. I did show you a little bit about what happens when we put some data in there, and then ultimately we can either use these individually or pull these together from a summary perspective. So as this video continues, what I'll do is I'll kind of show how I've used this up to this point and some of the ideas that can get your brain going and help you as you play around with this calculator, put it together so that we can really tell a story to the client.